were signed to Polo.
I was signed to Polo and Timbaland.
Correct.
Yep, in a joint venture at Scope Records.
Yep.
And I was young. I was super young. I felt I had no power. I felt I had no choice. Remembers more. Was it days after when it leaked? Like days after I did it, but he promised me that wouldn't happen, so it leaked. And that was that. And I protected him. I protected the girl who wrote it, who went on to become famous. I protected everyone in the story, so I had to eat that.
Stop out someone's dream. That's what it felt like to me as an outsider looking in.
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder. And they make threats.
All right, y'all, we seriously need to talk about Miss Keri Hilson because she just flipped the entire music industry on its head. She came forward with what she's calling the truth, and let me tell you, it's shaking everyone up. After years of whispers and rumors about why her career nosedived, Keri has finally put a name to the alleged sabotage: Beyonce and Jay-Z. Yep. According to Keri, her career didn't just stall, it was intentionally buried. And the reason? A twisted love triangle, betrayal, and the full force of Beyonce's wrath. For years, fans speculated. They'd say, why did Keri disappear after blowing up with the way IR? Now, we might have an answer, and it ain't pretty. Allegedly, Beyonce found out that Jay-Z was entertaining a little side flirtation with Keri. And when Queen Bey found out, she didn't just confront Jay. She went for Keri's entire livelihood. But here's where it gets messy. Keri is coming with receipts. She's done staying quiet, and she's finally telling her side of the story. Keri sat down with the Breakfast Club and let it all out. The interview has been making waves, and for good reason. Keri claimed the whole beef that derailed her career wasn't even her fault. She didn't write the infamous diss track that supposedly took shots at Beyonce. In fact, she says she was forced to record it. That's right. Keri said it was her management, especially Polo Dodon, who pressured her into recording a track she never even wanted to do. And it gets worse.
It's a regret. It's a regret, but not in the way that people would think, because that's a song that I actually didn't write. Those are not my words. I was on tour. Polo wanted me to do a remix to Turning Me On. He had produced the record, and I wasn't, because I was on tour with Lil Wayne, I wasn't able to lay anything down. He had been on me for a couple of weeks about we need to do a remix. Okay, so I take off. It wasn't happening quick enough for him. I take off, we fly in, and he had another writer in our camp at the time. He had her write this. So he played it for me, this is the remix, because I'm thinking I'm coming in to go write a remix to Turning Me On. The whole time I had been writing concepts what would I say? How do I even remix this? What do I want to? So I had lines and I had, things that I would have said, but I come into the studio and he plays me this verse, and I'm automatically, I'm not saying that.
She shared that she had tried to write her own remix verse instead, but Polo shut that down. He told her flat out, do it his way or watch her career crumble.
Exactly. So I tried to fight him on it, and I began writing my own. That's what I did with my time there, but I want to be careful with the word I use. It was quite forceful, you know what I mean?
In an executive artist way?
Yeah, in an executive artist way only. Involving others and kind of threatening my career, in a sense, in a real sense. You're not coming, because my album wasn't out yet. So it was you're not coming out if you don't do this. And the mistake that I made was not continuing to fight. But I was in tears, I was crying, I was adamant that I did not want to do that.
For people that don't know, you were signed to Polo.
I was signed to Polo and Timbaland.
Correct.
Yep, in a joint venture at Interscope Records.
Yep.
And I was young, I was super young. I felt I had no power. I felt I had no choice.
And just when she thought she had convinced him to shelf the song, he leaked it himself, on purpose, behind her back. Let that sink in. The man managing her career, who had everything to gain from her success, allegedly tanked her on purpose. But why?
I think days after? He remembers more, because he was there. He remembers more. Was it days after when it leaked? It leaked like days after I did it, but he promised me that wouldn't happen, so it leaked. And that was that. And I protected him. I protected the girl that wrote it, who went on to become famous. I protected everyone in the story, so I had to eat that. And I am still eating it to this day. Because I'm getting asked about that however many years, 16, 17 years later. It's like I've worn the scarlet letter, really.
Well, the word on the street is that Polo didn't act on his own. Allegedly, Beyonce put the pressure on him to make sure Keri paid the price for being too close to Jay-Z. And before you say it's a stretch, just remember Jay-Z's long history of side piece rumors. Keri might have just gotten caught up in something bigger than herself. To understand the drama, we gotta rewind to 2009. A remix of Keri's Turnin' Me On dropped and fans went wild over some pointed lyrics. She never said Beyonce's name, but the shade was clear as day. She can dance, she can sing, but she needs to move it to the left. A direct jab, fans believed, at Beyonce's hit Irreplaceable. That line alone had the Beehive seeing red. Suddenly, Keri was labeled a hater, a jealous rival, and public enemy number one. But here's what most people don't know. Keri never wanted that drama. She said multiple times that the lyrics weren't meant for Bey or Ciara, and that folks were just reaching. But by then, it was too late. The hate was brutal, the hive went in, and they didn't stop. Keri faced years of harassment online and even in person.
Love the verse. Yes, I heard specific names being brought up. No, it's not about that. No, that was not where the energy was. I'm not retracting or feeling some kind of way about how people feel that I'm doing, that I did this. I'm not, I guess that's the only way I could say it. I'm not retracting. It's just that was never the energy behind it. Okay. But we did play it for people, and it's considered a leak because we decided not to go with it. And I can prove that because it's like, when you do a remix to a song, you kind of want it to be for the remix to come out while the song is really hot still. And the song is hot right now, but it's not number one.
And who could forget the Soul Train Awards incident when Keri refused to hold a magazine featuring Beyonce and Jay-Z on the cover? The internet, everyone saw it as a petty jab, but Keri later hinted that something happened behind the scenes that pushed her to that point. She never said exactly what Beyonce did, but the way she phrased things had people side-eyeing Queen Bee. Keri tweeted things like, "It's too much, I have my reasons." And those reasons might have been a whole lot deeper than anyone realized.
Oh, the magazine. Just shout out Juicy Mac.
From that point on, rumors spread like wildfire. Industry insiders whispered that Beyonce was making power plays behind closed doors, blocking Keri's deals, shutting her out of major collaborations, and blacklisting her in the biz. And it worked. Keri's career never recovered. By 2013, Keri was begging on social media for fans to leave her alone. She tweeted heartfelt messages about how the bullying had broken her spirit. And y'all, it wasn't just online trolls. People were literally throwing Beyonce CDs at her on the street. Like, who does that? At that point, it was way beyond stan behavior. It was dangerous. And to make matters worse, Ciara fans started coming for her too. There was even a whole back and forth where Ciara allegedly dropped a diss track, but Keri tried to keep things peaceful. She even called into a radio station to squash the drama.
And then some people thought you were taking shots at maybe Keri Hilson on that record.
That record right there is a song that I dedicated to my haters. And I also dedicated to my fans though. So, that's what that record, it was for. It's just me really expressing and getting a lot off my chest, because I'm normally like, I've experienced, you get the haters and stuff like that, and they don't really mean anything. However, let me just say something real quick. Let me just get something off my chest. And that's what that record kind of allowed me to do. And, and again, it's also for my fans because I even went in on myself.
She told Ciara directly, "It's not about you, people just twisted it." And to her credit, Ciara responded with grace. They had a heart-to-heart, and both women publicly said it was all love, but the damage had already been done, especially with Beyonce. Now, here's where things go nuclear. Years later, a man known as Uncle Ron, who claimed to be Beyonce's former bodyguard, came forward with a jaw-dropping revelation. He said Beyonce and Jay-Z had deliberately sabotaged multiple careers over the years, and one of the names he mentioned, Keri Hilson.
It's the price you pay, when you're early in your career, you feel that you have to listen. And when you buck, they buck harder. And they make threats, and those threats are huge ones. And you know what I mean? You don't don't feel like you have a choice. I really didn't feel like I had a choice. It was do this or this.
Uncle Ron even went viral on TikTok, exposing what he called a pattern of manipulation, blackballing, and payback. The Bayhive, of course, was quick to call him a liar. They said he never worked for her, but then Media Takeout dropped receipts. Photos from a 2004 fashion event surfaced showing Uncle Ron standing right next to Beyoncé. Suddenly, people had to ask, what if he was telling the truth?
Beyonce and Jay-Z will do anything to destroy anyone who speaks out against them. Okay, I get the threats, but you have to remember one thing. I know your deepest secrets. I know so much about you and what you've done. I know so much on how you got where you are, how you stepped on many people. Beyonce, how you guys ended Keri Hilson's career because she said something about you. That's how hateful you guys are. How you step on anybody to stay on the top. So remember, your relationship was a business relationship, financial, to get to the top, to become billionaires. There's no love there. See, what's done in the dark will definitely come in the light. Keep your threats up. I'm here today, and what I got to say, I'm gonna say it. So don't make idle threats to me.
Even with the receipts, the Hive still refused to believe it. But fans started putting the pieces together. It wasn't just Keri who vanished after crossing Beyoncé. Remember Tierra Marie? She was once dubbed the Princess of the Rock. But she mysteriously disappeared from the spotlight after rumors emerged about her being too close to Jay-Z. Allegedly, Beyoncé found out. And if you believe the whispers, she didn't just ask Jay to cut ties. She had Tierra's career wiped from the map. The pattern was there. Alleged mistress equals career death. And now, it looks like Keri may have been another casualty.
And he signed her to a deal. By the time all of the ink was dry, she was just shy of being legal. But that didn't stop the mogul. He liked to sample the new talent. He was sampling her on a fairly regular basis, but he was also involved with the current A+ list singer who was in his face every day. And this could allegedly be Beyonce. The thing is, though, that corn star in charge of her career was feuding with the mogul and told the mogul he would not be allowed to hook up with the singer again. I assume he thought the mogul would think she was something special. Apparently not as special as the current A+ lister, because the new signee was dropped and the word was put out on the street. No record deals for her from any label. When someone ignored the edict, they were paid a visit. If the visits were ignored, then other steps were taken. This was a total lockdown of a career that lasted almost a decade.
Whether or not Keri really had a thing with Jay-Z, one thing is clear: something happened behind the scenes. Something big enough to tank her career and unleash one of the most vicious stan wars the internet's ever seen. And Keri? She's finally speaking her truth. So the question now is, did Beyonce really shut down Keri Hilson over Jay-Z? Or was this all a series of bad decisions and worse luck? Either way, the receipts are out, and fans are rethinking everything they thought they knew about this silent feud.